Hi, my name is Daria. I am a rising senior at Vandergrift High School, and my favorite room, a part of the Flower Hill Homestead Museum, is Flower Hill's library. It was first owned by Dr. Richmond Smoot, and where he founded the Austin School of Theology, and then it was owned by his son, Lawrence Kelly Smoot. The program that I spent developing within Smoot placed an increased focus on answering the essential question, can making connections to the past open us up to deeper connections in the present? Through this program, Flower Hill's mission of preserving one of the city's last historic homestead museums would be exemplified through, now, the brilliance of students' minds. My inspiration for this program stemmed directly from an experience I had within the home during a Space Out session, in which the Smoot team took to Miss Jane Smoot's bedroom in order to explore the personal history behind even the smallest of items present. As we were sharing out what object each of us in the room picked, I not only felt as if though I was intruding on someone's most private and sanctious memories, but as if though, through this, I was now closer to understanding Miss Smoot and the time in which she lived. It's difficult to describe, but that, for me, is one of the beauties of primary sources. As a result of this program, The Power of Space, a writer's workshop, was born. A program in which students would take history and connect with it, just as I had, elevating it to a place of relevance within each and every participant. Through this program, centered around creative writing, students would also be leaving with 3 full short stories, rooted in ideas drawn from the homestead itself. On the first day, students would be only briefly introduced to who the Smoots were, and the homestead in which they would be engaging. Following this, they would get a lesson on the skills necessary to gaining the most out of this experience, namely, how to interact with a space in order to inform a fiction narrative. Out of the 14 students, each would be placed into a random room and would be left to, within that room, write their short story. Said story could revolve around a specific object, a made-up narrative of the space, a feeling, what they believed happened in the room, or any other number of possibilities. The second day would be focused on finishing up the first short story and sharing out with the group. The third and fourth days would be devoted to a second short story and subsequent sharing within the same room, although this time students would be encouraged to look at that room from a different perspective, for example, centering around a completely opposite theme. The fifth and sixth days would be centered around the third and final short story, with students being allowed to choose any room for this final write. A part of the sixth and last day, students would explore the history of the Smoots and Flower Hill in more depth, looking into diaries, the oral histories, photos, and other primary sources. Over the course of the program, students developed connections to the family, and by culminating with this reveal, the impact of this powerful home has been imprinted on students for, or at least we hope, their entire life. Through the power of space, students will be able to connect with the beautiful homestead that is the Flower Hill Museum. It is as Miss Jane Smoot once said, as we live in the present and we plan for the future, we must learn from the past.
Hi, my name is Eli. I'm a rising junior at Lhasa High School, and my favorite object in the collection is the scroll saw. The program I've been working on is called A Day in the Life, and it's based on the essential question, how does belonging in a community alter the nature of an individual's contribution? Now this ties into the portion of the Flower Hill mission of engaging, empowering, and inspiring the Austin community. The material that inspired my program was the vast variety of specialized tools that they have in this house. From this scroll saw, which Lawrence Kelly Smoot used to make a ship for his family, to the butter churn, which are just technologies you don't see used much nowadays. The goal of my program is to get Gen Z to be able to build a community of strangers within just one day. For my program, participants would show up on the porch at 6 a.m. and leave their phones there, transporting them 1 century in the past into a world like that which the Smoots lived in. After meeting each other, the participants would pick a name for their group and work together to build something that symbolizes their team, like a flag or a sign, using the materials and tools available in Flower Hill. They would then take a quick tour around the homestead, learning about the space and what is available to do there. so that they could learn about the community that would be theirs for the rest of the day. They would then get more time to sit around, play games from the time period, and get to know each other. But soon, they would have to work together to accomplish a common goal, making lunch. Using ingredients available at the gardens and other places in Flower Hill, the group would get the opportunity to design an original menu and use the tools for cooking as the Smoots would have done a century ago to build a meal that everyone is a part of and everybody can enjoy, holding true to how Julia Williams Smoot wished for everyone to be welcome, as long as they would work towards the common goal. Then, in the afternoon, they would work together towards one large homestead contribution, such as resetting the rockeries, building gardens, or assisting in the creation of some other project that Flower Hill is working on. In this way, they could start to give back to the space that they have been working within for the rest of the day. After completing this group contribution project, they would work together on a themed activity, like solving a mystery themed around the Smoots, where they could only achieve the goal of the activity by working together as a group, and no individual would be able to take over and do everything for themselves, helping them foster this feeling of interdependence. After this, the participants would get an opportunity to be creative, working together on artwork or other projects themed around the house, or just play games with each other and learn more about the other people that make up this community they've lived in that day. From there, the participants would have a time to reflect together about their experience, about how it felt like to use these antique methods of building things instead of their smartphones or other technology they may be accustomed to, and talk about what it felt like as part of this team and as part of a new community of individuals, and how they felt like they would be able to help contribute to this team's success. From these activities, I hope that the participants would be able to foster community spirit, but also their own individualism within this community they've created and lived in for a day.
Hi, I'm Adele. I'm a rising junior at the Griffin School, and I think my favorite room in the house would be the sleeping porch. My program is called Lovingly Jane, and it is video, audio recordings of diary entries from Jane Smoot's diaries. It ties back to the essential question of what defines us as humans, and how do we empower, inspire, engage the Austin community of now and, of course, the future. The primary source I am using is diaries and also sometimes scrapbooks belonging to Jane Smoot since the time she was 12 years old. What I basically do is I transcribe and I log and digitize all of the diaries and sometimes scrapbooks. It's like a volunteer project for any teen volunteers or adult volunteers who want to spend a few hours a week just looking through diaries, scanning some entries. It's a fun little scanner. It's a good time. And I would like to share with you an episode of Lovingly Jane that I've recorded using both the diary as a primary source, but also other primary sources, photographs, and primary sources from outside of Flower Hill, because this is an entry that ties into things that were going on in the world at the time.